Everybody, and then welcome to the AfriHealth webinar. So we are just waiting a little while to admit more people into the webinar. My name is Ireneo Zasobre from the AfriHealth Secretariat, Senior Program Manager. So I am going to be co-facilitating this webinar with Alison, who is the lead for the technical working group on library and then information sciences. So we would wait just a few minutes to get some more people in before we go on. So you're all welcome. Webinar. But unfortunately, there is a hitch with the second speaker joining us now, but we are going to go ahead and then start. The first speaker for the day is Walter. Onen Walter Yagos. He's information scientist and then head of medical library at the Faculty of Medicine, Gulu University in Uganda. We are very happy to have him to speak. And then he will be talking on the topic, university library settings in Africa and then COVID-19 management. I mean, as usual, we would entreat that everybody should keep their mics mute. And then when you have any question, you can use the chat box to post your question there. So after the speaking, then we would have some minutes for discussion to answer all the questions that may be coming up. My co-facilitator on the workshop is going to introduce herself shortly before we start. Over to you. Alison, can you kindly introduce yourself before we move on?
Yes, hello, good morning everyone. Yeah, I'm Alison Chinenjere. I'm the chair of the Library and Information Science Technical Working Group. I welcome you all to this first webinar. We'll be having a series of webinars. This is the first one. I welcome you and hope it will be very helpful, and please participate. At the end of the presentation, please, you can contribute by asking questions and answering and commenting. Yeah, thank you very much for attending. I now hand over to the first speaker. Walter.
Thank you very much, members. I'm hearing. Thank you very much, all members. I'm Onen Yagos from Gulu University. I'll be speaking on university library settings in Africa and COVID-19 management. These are the outline of the presentation which I'm going to make, and to talk about the current situation in African university libraries, the issue to do with budgeting and finance, and then what challenges do we have with COVID among us? And then I will make a conclusion.
Hello, Walter.
Hello?
So, Walter, can you kindly switch off your video? I think your bandwidth is low.
In response to COVID-19, all libraries and some were partially closed. Those have been carried out physically in the library. As It's unpredictable when this COVID-19 will end. So everybody is still waiting and waiting and waiting. It led to change. We need change in our library now. Our situation, generally, university library, many of us still maintain the central library system. Then we have difficulties in staff. We have few staffs. Then the number of students, especially the private students, have made so many students. And then we have difficulties in handling users in terms of facilities and others. Then we have and furniture in many of our libraries. Our designs are also rigid, built in a way that you cannot expand, you cannot put in new things. So that is the situation where we are. And inadequate use of disease prevention plan. Many times these disease issues or prevention issues has just come during this COVID. In other words, many libraries do not use disease prevention plan as part of their library management. How about in terms of our budget? Many of these universities and libraries are limited in terms of budget. Normally they get less than 1 to 2% of the university budget, which is very minimal to handle all the activities which the library need to do. And then we get some support from the donor community, which these are also not enough. Now, this has affected, it has affected the journal, the IT equipment, the internet bandwidth, the subscription to online resources, and then space, and then furniture. So because of the limited budget, many of the university libraries in Africa could not meet all this demand. Now, why am I bringing this issue of budget into COVID management? Without this, to do what we should do when there is COVID, when we have limited budget. Now, yes, based on the challenges which I've already discussed, what will we expect to have? What challenges will we expect? Of course, we will have very limited resources to finance devoted to COVID-19. We will have the patrons, our IT equipment to offer services to our users will be limited in using the online platform measure. Then many of our patrons, the IT facilities, poor internet connectivity, others. This will limit them during COVID to access our. Then we have also inadequate space to accommodate patrons at any one time. The issue of social distancing require enough space, which current libraries. What can we do then? We need to constitute a COVID committee in all our. We need to realign library budget to cater for COVID-19 management. And this should, because without it, COVID-19 pandemic. We also need to lobby for budget, a better budget from the university see how to manage us better during this COVID-19. We need to train all the staff COVID-19 preventions and management. And this is very important issue. If we have not trained our staff, then managing the allow them to come and physically visit the library will be very difficult. So we all the staff. Then we need to embark on remote services. And this should be supported by budget, good bandwidth. We also need to draw a plan for using space. This will require services in most of our libraries. We also need to draw a plan for reopening. Many libraries now plan for reopening. So this, we need to do it as an urgent matter. We also need to revise our policies and some of our services. So many of them don't cover diseases and all this. So to be revised so that we incorporate some of the unexpected. Thank you very much. I acknowledge the NIH faculty grant and then AfriHealth. Thank you very much. Hello?
Presentation. So
thank you.
Yeah. So we currently, unfortunately, don't have the second speaker for the day on. So yes, so let me see. Alison, do we have any questions coming through? Maybe if you can take us through what questions that have come through so far from Walter's presentation, we can discuss that. And then the comments and then contributions from the audience.
Okay, I'm trying to check for comments. I think most of the comments were that the audio, it was not very clear. Some were receiving just the audio and were not hearing clearly. But I think that one was solved. I'm not seeing any comment. Maybe can I start with my comment?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Walter, for that presentation. We are sorry that this presentation was supposed to be followed by the second speaker who is not here. But I would like to emphasize something about realigning the library budget. I think we have a very big challenge if we are going to open for students, if the libraries are going to open for students soon. We don't know when, but maybe soon. Or as long as we still have COVID, there's a lot of things that we have to do. And being in the middle, because for example, in my institution, the budget was, the financial year started in June. Now we are in September. We do not have much. We may not have all the resources to cater for the things that we need. For example, sanitizers, temperature guns, hand washing machines, and especially this one is very challenging, space, because libraries have limited space. I think all libraries, most likely all libraries in Africa have limited space. I will give an example of my library. We have, the capacity of my library is, we have 500 seats for about 500 students, but we have 2,000 plus students. And with COVID, we need to have maybe less than half of what we have already. So meaning we are going to remove most of the seats and we leave maybe 100. So it means we are not having to, we are not going to cater for all the users at the same time. And it's a very big challenge. I don't know how we can address this challenge. Yeah, it's I don't know how we can discuss this, but it's a very, very big challenge for the libraries. Thank you. I'm seeing can someone comment on the implication of COVID-19 on library and information science education, considering that libraries appear to be risk areas for COVID and other novel pandemics? That is one question from Kondwani.
Come again?
Yes, should I read all the questions, or can we go by one by one?
One by one.
Okay, Kondwani says, can someone comment on the implication of COVID-19 on the library and information science education, considering that libraries appear to be risk areas for COVID and other novel pandemics?
Yeah, can I comment? Can I comment there?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for the question. A very good question. Now, library, person has put it, present a very, very right area for the spread of COVID-19. Actually, comparatively, you can compare library with classrooms. The kind of spacings and all these, our traditional library, does not present or does not allow us to really run away from catching COVID. So the only implication which will happen is that many of the libraries will now think of going online, using digital libraries. Of course, there are other challenges with the users, with the institution, but I think the best way to go is to go online and do remote servicing. If there's any services which require somebody to come in the library, then we should ensure that's up, and then all other COVID management SOPs are followed. But still, we will reduce the number of people who come into our libraries. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have another comment. Are we ready for Odell learning? How is library going to fit in this online learning? Are we ready for Odell? Are we ready for Odell learning? How is the library going to fit in this online learning?
Yes, should everybody participate or?
Yes, I think they can participate. You can raise up your hand and participate.
Okay.
Yes.
So we actually have many other questions in the chat box. And since the group is not very large, I think other people who probably have experience in the areas that are being questions maybe can also make their contributions in response. I think one of the questions that I see in the chat box is, what have libraries done in an effort to still link students, especially in our settings, to library services, even off campus, because COVID has shown that it might not be business as usual. And there is another one that says that how are libraries integrating with e-learning systems, since most university learning to be ongoing.
Okay, maybe to comment on I'm seeing another comment which is related. What have libraries done in an effort to still link students, especially in our settings, to library services, even off campus? Because COVID has shown that it might not be business as usual. I think we have already read this from Dr. Mubuke. Yeah, I give an example of what we have been doing in my library in Makerere University College of Health Sciences. We already had sessions online, and last week we had a Zoom session for students, and it was very, very interesting because the students are actually very interested and they were very eager to attend. We were kind of overwhelmed. There were many participants. We know there is a challenge of data wherever they are to access Zoom, to access internet, but we got students and they participated. We also had another session on the up-to-date clinical decision support tool, and very many participated and they also registered to use the tool. This means that we can actually start conducting sessions online, either through Zoom, or if we have a learning environment like we have in most of our institutions, we can actually load our content, but then we need space. We need to work with IT people so that they create space for the libraries to upload their content so that the students can then access. We can link to the students and staff. That would be one of my comments on in response to Dr. Mubuke and everyone. This one, I don't see the name, but the number is 482149.
So, Alison, there is a related comment in response to that question from Ronald Izaro. The person writes that for us at Lera University, we have secured funds to pay for remote text to allow our users have access to electronic resources. Maybe we can invite Ronald to just make probably some comments or more explanation on this in response to that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ronald, can you probably unmute and then maybe just throw some more light in response to that, your comment?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Our experience is that we are members of a consortium of Uganda University Libraries, but even before COVID, for our off-campus people, we are using off-campus access tool that was is a proxy. But last year, the consortium piloted and tested remote text because we experienced that remote text has better features than the off-campus access tool. So for us, what we have done is that we have we are going to subscribe. Our pilot is working very well. We are going to subscribe to remote text such that it allows our students who are off campus to have access to these resources. Because like someone said, that it is not known when this virus will go. These things are going to stay here and we need to find plan B. And for us as a university, that is our plan B. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Ronald. There is another question in the chat box that I would like to know how libraries are supporting the online teaching being encouraged, given that most of our publications are in hard copy. Are there some free digital platforms members can share to help some of us?
Yeah, thank you. It is true that most of our resources are in hard copy, but also it is true that many of the libraries use online journals and e-books. That we have some free online sources with very relevant information resources. This one is now the issue of balancing what to do in the middle of very big challenges which we are facing. So I think library can still use the online resources which are free, of course, which are selected and free, and then in coordination with the teaching faculties, they should be able to select the available online resources and share them with the teaching platform so that students can use from the teaching platform. Thank you.
So are there examples of such free online platforms that maybe you would want to mention so that people who may be interested can check them out? I mean, if anybody on the call knows any of such free online platforms, maybe we can share the information here.
I need to share the list also. I will share the list with members, but when you go to INARI, when you have many of the African countries access INARI, we have several free e-resources for the developing countries. We have Directorate of African online journals, the online journals, which are also free. And then we have copies of free e-books.
Right. Okay, great. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think Alison has also shared some other examples in the chat board, so people can just check them out too, and then see what other examples are available apart from what Walter has mentioned. All right.
Okay, maybe to add on this, yes, there is PD Drive from Ronald. This booksc.org has a lot of journal articles and a lot of ebooks. And once you go there, you don't have to create an account. Just go there as long as you make sure that you don't download more than 6 documents per 24 hours. But it's very, very good. You can fail to get articles in Hinari, but you get them through booksc.org. Then for Hinari, I believe that, I don't want to repeat what Yagos had said, but most of the African countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, the institutions have access to Hinari. And that is a very, very good resource. That would be the first resource that I would recommend. And of course, outside Hinari, we have PubMed, which is very, very good for us. And you can access some content, some full text documents at no cost. And those that you cannot get through PubMed, you can still log into Hinari and access PubMed through Hinari. You get like 70% of full text content. Thank you.
Right, great. Okay, thank you, Alison. So I see that we don't have any more questions in the chat box.
May I say something,
yeah.
Irene?
Sure, yeah, Elsie, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to thank everybody for attending this webinar. And I think this is really very useful information. And the presentation was also very good. I would like to propose that as a technical working group, in your space provided by AfriHealth, this information could be shared, and we would send maybe a link to people who have not attended, because they may also not listen to the webinar, but information on how to access online platforms like the ones that you've been discussing is very important for AfriHealth, because many people actually don't have this knowledge. It's not readily available, so it would be good if we found some way of disseminating this information to members of AfriHealth. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Elsie. Good. So, Alison, do you have any remarks, any comments, further comments?
My comment is, I would like to thank all those that have participated. And for the librarians, I would like to mention that we are going to be having more webinars of this nature. It will be a different topic, but it's all library staff. So I'm requesting that please let's work together, let's work hand in hand so that we support. I know we can support those who don't have access to resources. One other thing I would like to encourage the group is, if I need some information and I don't have it, since Irene has created a group, groups for us, we can always ask for information. If you don't have it at the University of Zimbabwe, for example, I have it in Makerere, I can always share. I know copyright issues do not allow that, but since we are in Africa, we can always do that sharing so that we support our research, we support African research.
Right.
We shall be letting you know about the next webinar, and we shall also share the next topic. It should be, I don't know, I will ask Irenius whether it should be in 1 week or 2 weeks' time. Then we shall let you know. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Alison, and thank you, everybody. Right, Walter, you have a comment?
Thank you. Just one or two. Thank you very much. Thank you, the moderator. Comment is that we should be having records of all these comments which people have given, and then the question. Of course, I'm talking about if somebody has been taking note of what we have been discussing. And then also, if all the librarians in various universities could write and tell us what they're doing in terms of COVID management, learn from each other of what the other universities is doing. Of course, different institutions will do it differently. But so the last comment is that how can we contribute to a newsletter through some of these presentations? Thank you.
All right. Okay. So
okay,
yes.
Can I say something? Yes, I don't know if AfriHealth has been recording, but I have taken note of all the comments. I'll share them with you later on. The comments from the chat, I have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is also, the comments and then questions are also available at our end, and then we can download them and then share. But as Elsie mentioned, we are doing a recording of the webinar, and then we'll put the link at the AfriHealth website. So people can get to it later. You will find the recording of the webinar as well as the presentation that Walter has done at the same link. Yeah. So we thank everybody once again for your time and then your wonderful contribution and then your participation at this webinar. And then we look forward to meeting again on similar webinars in the future. So we will do the planning of the subsequent webinars as Alison has mentioned, and then once that is ready, we will announce it and then circulate the announcement in the various channels. So be on the lookout for the next one. And then once again, we send our sincere apology that we didn't have our second speaker coming on board for today. But we look forward to more exciting webinars and then more exciting interactions in the future. Thank you, and then have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.